You have an adversary who wants to devour. It is so clear, he can't seem to touch the ones who cast their cares upon him. He can't seem to be the enemy with the ones who have learned how to be humble. And he goes after the proud, who doesn't want to cast his cares on God, but he's got all the systems and the philosophies and the ways to do business and life and everything, always under attack. Or that's what it clearly says. Devour.
Are you excited to be here? Okay, thank you guys. Thank you so much. That was one of my, it felt like I was in a different place. I remember one of the mystical preachers, he said how to employ your imagination. And if you use your imagination, you can see the Father. You can be there, right there when worship happens. Woo, all right. That was so good. That was very good. All right. Are you excited? Are you excited to listen to the word and get your revelation and get your redemption? Yes? So, okay. I'm not a big workout fan, okay? As you can already see, I actually think of Haren's technique. He says, I do virtual workouts. It doesn't work. I'm a believer of that. And I was also reminded of Uncle Rohan telling us how, when Fiona and Mel run, he said, man was not meant to run. Only when a dog chases you run. So thinking of all these things, I had to start exercising. Okay, I didn't have a choice. When your body goes through certain kind of, you can call it trauma, but certain experiences, you start losing your strength in every part of your body, actually. So I started losing strength. My knees were hurting, my back was hurting, my elbows were hurting, everywhere was hurting. So I knew the answer. Obviously, I know the answer. We have pastors who live the talk, right? So I knew, okay, I need to get into exercising. So I started exercising. Now, as I'm exercising, everyone talks about this core. Everyone's saying, tuck your tummy in, I remember, if you guys have met Melissa Fisher, her mantra was, tuck your pelvis, tuck your tummy, tuck your pelvis. Okay, where is it? Where do I tuck it in? Where? So I realized your core was extremely important. You can't do any of your workouts and find them effective if your core is not strong, if your core is not firm, if your core is not tough. So now, I started doing my exercises, and it was very difficult. I didn't like it. I still don't like them. I pray for some divine, intervention somewhere that will help me become stronger and lose weight. But yeah, I have to do my exercise. So as I'm thinking about this, I get my Holy Spirit moment when I'm exercising about the core. And I remembered the scripture in Ephesians chapter 6. Now, when I read it as a kid, I read it as gird your loins, okay? It's not a nice word, but other versions have made it gird your waist. Loins actually mean your core. Everything within, below the rib cage is your core. So it says, gird. Gird is like a belt, not just here. This belt is quite big. So I got this image of a Roman soldier. Now they would wear their armor, and they protect every part that is exposed, right? And their core is protected. Now Paul says, gird your core with truth. with truth. That is so important. So now I had my second child, and then some of the truths that I believed were, okay, I'm at this age, I don't think I can lose weight, this is who I am, at this place you can't do these things, just let it be, this is how my friends back home, this is how they are, this is who they are, this is normal, this is how life is supposed to be, you're supposed to age like this. That was the truth I believed, and I became that. That became my core. How can I draw strength from that? So now I had to shift my mind again. Now, obviously, I have two amazing pastors, amazing mentors, amazing covering, Kirby and Fiona, who live it, who said, no, you can defy everything that nature says is how things progress. So I'm looking at them, and I decided, no, I'm going to start changing things in my mind. Okay? And as I'm doing that, I also realized as my core strengthened, every other exercise became easier. It's not just about becoming easy, they actually started working only when I strengthened my core. Or it would have been just empty movements, just doing that. What's the point? When your core is not firm, nothing happens, nothing changes. But then as my core strengthened, as the truth in me strengthens, every part of my being changes. So something that I realized, have you ever seen, okay, I know Ashi works out, okay, I only know these people work out, I bet you all work out, okay, but I know Ashi works out, Ajay works out, I've seen Isru and Natasha. Have you ever seen these guys? Yes, Auntie Naila. Have you, and Ezra I'd seen, okay, but anyways, have you ever seen these guys slouch? Have you ever seen them slouch? When you work, when your core is strong, you can't slouch. Your posture changes. Your stance in life changes. Right? So this is what I was reminded. Again, Jesus says, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So now, this is what we need to keep reminding ourselves. Trials and tribulations, temptations will come. But they are good. They test the strength of your core. What do you believe when you go through that path? What do you truly see? How do you truly see God as? What is your truth? That will begin to manifest. Okay? Jesus said, I am the word and I am the truth that will lead you through life. Right? So when you walk through the valley of shadow of death, when you go into that storm, who is with you? What do you believe? What is your truth? All right? Are you guys excited to receive the word now? Okay, put your hands together and welcome Ezra with the word.
Your love got me feeling so high, got me feeling so high, got me feeling like I can change the world tonight.
Thank you. Wow, thank you. Thank you. Please.
Like I can change the world tonight.
How are we doing? Are we excited? We have a full house. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I'm still with Harin on the virtual. If you can tap into that revelation. Man. The presence of God. Moses tells, there's this whole conversation happening, and God says, I'm not going to come with you. And Moses said, no, we're not going to move if you don't come. And then the conversation leads to this place where he says, then what makes us different if not your presence? Man, I love that. What makes us different if not for his ever-present presence? Always with us and by our side. Amen. I said that because I hope you're all enjoying the presence of God. Are you all happy? Full of joy. And then some energy. Now, I love this verse that Paul says. He says, I have fought the good fight of faith. Don't you love that line? I have fought. I don't know, I've only heard it in funerals mostly. but think of the verse for a minute. He says, I have fought the good fight. I have run the race. And I have kept the faith. Man, I fought the good fight. I ran and I kept the faith. Meaning he's saying that he tried. That he tried with all that he could to stay the course. And I was on that verse. That verse is really one of my favorites, if you ask me. I go through that verse often just to remind myself to come on, don't stray, don't get distracted, And I want to talk to you about something that I learned along the way in my life. You see, this journey, this race, this good fight of faith, we all sometimes go through things, we get distracted, or we lose track, and then God's grace comes and puts you back on track. But then there are so many things you learn from it. I mean, if you don't learn from it, then you're at a loss. You need to learn from those things that you go through. And I learned a very important lesson in life. And that's what I want to talk about this morning. And I'm really hoping that it'll bless your hearts. It'll open your eyes, make you understand. Right? And I want to talk about pride. I want to deal with an issue. Pride, right? I'm not talking about your ego. By the time I finish, you'll understand. Not ego. Ego meaning, someone says something to you, like you immediately feel very important, and you walk around like, yes. Not that. That's just a silly thing that you can deal with immediately if you want to, right? You can just take it out of your mind and say, okay, calm down, right? I mean, it's good when people praise you, receive it. But if praise is all you're looking for, then when people criticize, you'll be down on the floor not knowing how to get up, right? So it shouldn't matter at all. That's not what I'm talking about, right? The Christian story, what's the time? The Christian story, as we know it, like we've read in the Bible, it starts in Genesis with a man and a woman and two trees. All of them have very mystical meanings to it. It's all very deep, depends on where you're looking at it from. So I don't want to go into that, right? But it starts with a man and a woman, two trees in the garden, one that gives life, one that brings death, and there is God. And then in the picture, there's also a serpent. And it says the serpent was, how many of you read that part of Genesis? Say, the serpent was cunning, crafty. Crafty. A crafty little fellow. Now, the serpent was crafty, it says. He talks to Eve, and the conversation is somewhat like this. I don't want to read the entire thing. That's going to take half an hour, so I don't want to waste time there, right? But you can go home and read, right? It's in Genesis 2, 3, very interesting chapters. Read. Now, it says, and the serpent is now having a conversation with Eve and saying something very interesting. Something very interesting. It says, it looks like God hasn't shown you the entire picture. If you eat of this fruit, you think you will die. But if you eat of this fruit, you actually become gods. That's what the serpent says. Right? You know the story, right? You're looking at me like, is there a story like that in the Bible? It's there. You can become gods. And that led the consuming of that fruit and the fall. What was that? You see later on, now God is saying something very interesting. They have become like one of, in chapter 3. They have become like one of us, lest they now eat and live. So close that path to the tree of life. Because I don't know. I was reading and I was thinking, see, the serpent had planted a lie, a wrong seed in their heart. Because God is not against you and me enjoying life. Because that's opened up for you and me today, even today. In Revelation chapter 2, if you read it, it's the very same words are there. Right? It's opened up for you and me. God is not about that, but God was definitely about this wrong seed that had entered man, where now man thinks that he doesn't have to depend on God. He can be his own person. Are you all okay? I'm gonna quickly fast forward and go to John. We can read this, right? You must go read Genesis, by the way. I'm going to fast forward and go to Matthew, sorry. I'm going to Matthew chapter 3. And this is John the Baptist, right? He was prophesied about in the books. Like there will be one who will come to prepare the way. And this is John the Baptist preparing the way of the Lord. And he is now in the wilderness. He's baptizing people. Now, track with me, please. When he saw many of the Pharisees and the Sadducees coming to his baptism, now baptizing everybody, and now the Pharisees and the Sadducees come to his baptism, he looks at them and he says, "You brood of vipers." Like to you and me might not make much sense. Like we might look at it, a brood of vipers. But to a Jew living in that time, who knew who knew his Old Testament or the books they read, they would have obviously understood what he was talking about. Because in Genesis chapter 3 again there is this verse that says, I will put enmity between your seed and her seed. There is a your seed. And he looks at them and says, "You brood of vipers." A Jew back then would have immediately understood that he was referring to the serpent seed. But what was wrong with the Pharisees and the Sadducees for them to be called that? Because it's not just John, Jesus also says, "You brood of vipers." And when you I think it's in John 8, Jesus says the same thing. But if you look at both go compare Matthew 3 and John 8, where Jesus and John are doing this, you'll notice something very interesting. Can I have the verse, please? Matthew 3, 7. No, I'm on Matthew 3, 7. We are all on Matthew 3, 7 at the moment. Praise Jesus. There it is. Well, when he saw many of the Pharisees and the Sadducees coming to his baptism, he said to them, brood of vipers, who warned you to flee from the wrath to come? Therefore bear fruit. Now, listen to me. Now, when you go there, Jesus also talks about the same thing. He says, brood of vipers. He goes into the word. He starts talking about fruit again. And it's very interesting because the conversation goes on where he says, you all think you're children of Abraham. Right? That's what's there. But I can even raise up children from stones if I want to. What is happening here? He's saying, you brood of vipers, you are of a different seed. Why? Because you got your own systems, you are so self-righteous, you think because you're Abraham's child that you are something else. But where is your dependency on God? You enjoy the law and you're so proud that you kept every law. You are proud of gathering in the morning and praying but where is your dependency on God? Because that was the very problem to begin with. And he says, if you don't, where's your fruit? In other words, hey, we all know this. They shall know you. They shall know you by your fruit. Is simple. They shall know you by your fruit. He's saying, where is your fruit? Because fruit can never happen without God. Have you read John 15, right? Let's read John 15. I'm probably giving them verses that it was not on the list. 15, right? Okay, look at this. 5. I am the... Okay, now look at it very carefully. I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me and I in him bear much fruit. For without me, come on, somebody shout that out. For without me, you can do nothing. Without me, you can do nothing. That's why he addresses, where is the fruit? He's like, hey, you brood of vipers, you're of a different seed. You look the part. You look righteous. You play the part. But where is your dependence on God? Because from the beginning, what was attacked was that. Come on, you don't need to depend on God. You can be God. You can. Are you okay? Are you with me? Are you with me? I really want to tackle this issue today. I did it. I found that in my heart, and I was going through a phase in life, and I saw that, and I dealt with it, and I'm telling you, I dealt with it. And I'm telling you, after that, the blessings that we saw. Well, I'll show you why, all right? I'm the one, but that's an interesting, can you go to John 15 again, sorry. John 15, let's look at that. You can leave the verse there till I am done, if that's okay with you. If anyone does not abide in me, now look at this, very important, is why I want you to see this. And then he goes on to say, if anyone does not abide in me, he is cast out and is withered. Now listen, it's not like God saying, it's not that fear tactic here. It's not like, if you don't bear fruit, I am going to cut you and throw you away, put you in fire. No, he's saying a branch that does not bear fruit has to be cast out and it withers away. It's not like I am going to cut you and throw you. No, like if you understand the Holy Spirit, He will help you in your weaknesses to bear fruit. It's as simple as that. But a branch that does not bear fruit He who abides in me bears much, for you can do nothing without me. If anyone does not abide in me, he is cast out as a branch and is withered, and they gather them and throw them in the fire and they are burned. Wow. If you understand the depth of it, he's saying, and if you keep reading, it also says, a branch or fruit just doesn't. Like can you make fruit happen? Does a branch does it have to struggle every day to make fruit happen? No. It just needs to stay connected to the vine and fruit just happens. That's why I say you can do nothing without me. And if you're not connected, I'll show you. We're going to look at this a little deeper. Okay. Are you with me so far? Yes. Okay. Now go with me to 1 Peter 5, and let's understand this properly. And then we'll travel around a little bit, and then I'll stop. Look at what it says. You all know this. Likewise, you younger people, submit yourselves to your elders. Very important. And also, elders, all of you, be submissive to one another and be clothed with humility. Okay? Now, this if you understand, you get what I'm saying. God resists the proud. Like, I don't even know what that looks like. Do you know what that looks like? There's a verse that says God opposes the proud. Like, I don't know if anyone's been on that side, being opposed by God. Like, I have no idea what that would look like. God opposes the proud, resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Now, look at this. Therefore, humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time, casting all your care upon him, for he cares for you. And then doesn't end there. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Now I think we can understand this better if we read it backwards. Okay, now look at this for a minute. It says, be sober, be vigilant, because you have an adversary walking around like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. So cast all your cares upon. Are you with me? There is an adversary who wants to devour you. So cast all your cares upon him, for he cares for you. And then humble yourselves, and he will exalt you in due time, because he gives grace to the humble and opposes the proud. So now understand this. Now understand this. So then, if being humble is to cast all your cares, then being proud is not feeling very important. Being proud is nothing but self-sufficiency or self-dependency. Are you with me? So if we are dealing with if you're going to deal with this problem, so this is the issue. So then when you think about it, then you understand, oh my God, was this the plan from the very beginning? If I can separate them and make them not dependent, I can devour them. So Eve, why don't you just eat the fruit and become God and not depend on God? I watch a lot of these, I love wildlife. I spent a lot of time in the jungles, and I love it, You see these animals trying to attack prey. You know what they do first? they separate one from the herd. They always separate one from the herd and go after it. When I was reading that, that's the picture I got. Or probably that was the plan from the very beginning. If I can separate them from the herd, I can devour. Are you with me? We're going to go a little more into this. Yeah, I have about another 15 minutes, so. But think about this for a minute. So here is a man who is proud, who doesn't want to cast his cares on God, but he's got all the systems and the philosophies and the ways to do business and life and everything, always under attack. Or that's what it clearly says. Devour. You have an adversary who wants to devour. Well, who? It is so clear, and it looks very clear, he can't seem to touch the ones who cast their cares upon him. He can't seem to be the enemy with the ones who have learned how to be humble. And he goes after the proud. Are you okay? You're all shaking your head like, Go to Deuteronomy 8. Shall we read a little? Deuteronomy 8. Now you understand pride, and you understand what pride means. You understand what being humble means. Now listen. Now look at this. Look at this. Every commandment which I command you today, you must be careful to observe, that you may live and multiply, and go in and possess the land of which the Lord swore to your fathers. And you shall remember that the Lord your God led you all the way these 40 years in the wilderness. Come on, somebody shout it out to me. So why were they going round and round? God's intention was not to punish them. His intention was to somehow make them depend on him, because he can't bring out a kingdom of priests and a holy nation that doesn't depend on him. Keep reading, and it says, to humble you, test you, to know what was in your heart, to see if you would really keep the commandments, if you would really depend on him. And look at the next verse. So he humbled you, allowed you to hunger. He humbled you and allowed you to hunger. Why? We'll come back to that manna part. Why? That he might make you know that man shall not live by bread alone. He humbled you and made you. Hello. He humbled you and he made you hunger, so that you will understand that man does not live on bread alone. The thing that you think that you can depend on, God is saying, I wanted to take your eyes away from that and know that if you can depend on my words, I humbled you and I made you hunger, but you wanted manna. So I gave you manna. Okay, so that's what that part is. But this is what you need to look at. I humbled you. Where did that verse go? So he humbled you, allowed you to hunger, fed you with manna which you did not know, nor did your fathers know, that he might make you know that man shall not live by bread alone, but man lives by every word that proceeds from the mouth of the Lord. And the very next verse, your garments did not wear out on you, nor did your foot swell these 40 years. I read that and I really feel like it's something really mystical there, by the way. They ate manna, it says, and then it says, your garments did not. I really don't know. I wish someone can crack it for me. I don't know what that means. I'm not going to go into that. But you see what it says there. He humbled them. He made them hungry. Or in other words, he says, I'm going to allow a little hunger. Okay, now that I brought you out, I'm going to allow a little, just so I can make you fully fall on me. Because I want you to understand that man does not live on bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. Wow. I was reading that and I was thinking probably that's why Prophet Kirby decided to fast for. So like let go of dependency everywhere and to completely depend on him. Made himself humble. Are you all okay? Yes. This dependency is a very important thing. You see, in the very beginning, again going back to that story, it's written, a man was not supposed to be alone. Man was not supposed to be lonely. There's a big difference. It doesn't say man was not supposed to be lonely. It says man was not supposed to be alone. So that's why I want us to look at this part of, or this side of this story as well. Are you all okay? Yes. Can we do 10 more minutes? Yes. We'll have to go to Colossians 1 before that. Colossians 1. Can I read this for you? Are you with me? Yes. And he is before all things, and in him all things consist, okay? And he is the head of the body, the church. And he is the head of the body, the church. Now, what makes, please, think with me. So then what makes God whole? Is it just him? He's the head. But what makes him whole is the body as well. So then it gives dependency a whole new meaning. It is one thing to say, I depend on the head. It's another thing to say, I depend on him. It is so easy to say, yes, I trust God. But do you have that same dependency on the community that God gave you? Do you look at your community like you can depend on it? I humble them so I could know their hearts. Like, do you really think that your home coach is very important for you? Do you think you can survive without church, the body? Are you okay? That's why I said I went through that path. I've been through these, but like, man, in 12, 13 years, 14, like, I've been through this journey. I remember many years ago, Fiona, Profi, we were having a conversation. She looked at me and he said, don't be aloof. She said, if you start living that way, then you lose favor. And I started thinking on that a lot, and that's when I realized, the more you are connected, the more you are connected, the more you understand that all the devouring stops and the favor increases. Guys, you need to understand that. If you think you can stay aloof and become something, look around you today. What has come out of this place? The ADC, the AGC, no, not C, what is that? Yeah, covering AGC, I don't know, man, so many things. But look around you. Look what this place has produced. My question is, do I see that? Do I understand that I can now free fall on it and start experiencing favor and victory in my life? That I can actually flourish if I can let go of pride and understand that just being a part and being dependable makes everything different for my life. Hello? He is the head of the church, the body. And I found that really interesting. Because we always talk about, learning to trust God, learning to depend on God. And that sometimes I think is an easy thing. Like, I pray, but then I think the real test of your heart comes to this. And if any of you are new here, if you don't have a home coach that you belong to, I would tell you today, find one. Go sit under someone. Sit under someone. Why is it so difficult to sit under someone? That's the pride I'm talking about. I don't need to sit under someone. I can do it. I don't need someone telling me, and I can do it. Yes, Eve. You can be God. You don't need God. The pride of life. The pride of life. Think about it. And if you are here and if your heart is not stirred for your church and for your community, go ask God grace and ask Him to stir your hearts. The body is important. The body matters. The body matters. And when I found my way back and I started to fall in love with the church again, we went and got fully involved in the ADC, and man, what a journey it's been. What a journey it's been. We head the school at ADC. We have exams this week. So funny the phone calls I get. Every single day. We have a new batch of pastors who have learned with us, who are going to leave us, who are going to go. And you know how everything is so interconnected. It's all intertwined. It's all so beautiful. And everybody is flourishing because of the dependency. Everyone is flourishing because they found that part of the broken body. You found your part of the broken body. And the more you fall, you will flourish. Oh my God, my time is... You see, can I show you this in Daniel? How many of you read Daniel, right? Okay, please, you don't have to. Like some of you like, oh, what is Daniel? So there's a book called Daniel, right? That's how I should have approached it. So there's a book called Daniel. And there's this boy who's been taken slave. Now think about this for a minute. And sometimes you need to really go deep into a story to understand. Here is a man. He must have been of some elite household, to put it that way. Now a slave brought to another land, okay? Castrated. So no more lineage is so important for those guys. And no more lineage now. That's it. Now he's a slave who has to serve a king that he doesn't believe in, do things that he doesn't believe in. It's not part of his culture. This is Daniel, by the way. This is Daniel. This is Daniel. And in 10, and look at verse 12. Verse 12. Then he said to me, do not fear, Daniel. Now think about this guy. You think you have problems? Look at this guy. Then he said to me, do not fear, Daniel, for from the first day that you set your heart to understand and to humble yourself before God, your words were heard. Guys, I want you to get this. I want you to get this. It says, from the very first day that you set your heart to understand and to humble, or rather, to completely depend on me, even in this situation that you are in clearly, which doesn't look like a great situation, but you turned your heart towards me and you humbled yourself and you opened your mouth and you called out to me, and immediately your words were heard. That looks like a man who is blessed and who is flourishing. That looks like a man who can talk to God and get answers for the problems that he has. Doesn't look like a man who keeps asking for years about the same thing. Look at that. You set your heart to understand and to humble yourself before God. Somebody say amen. If we can set our hearts to understand and to humble, like depend and understand his ways. Depend completely and understand his ways. Do you understand depend? Can I just touch on just one more thing and then... You see, I asked you, it's very difficult to be under someone. Many times we act more like advisors to the ones that we need to depend on. I don't know if I make sense to you. You've been given someone to depend on. And then there are others that you can freely advise and lift and strengthen. The ones who've been given to you for you to depend on, do you fully depend on? That's the heart that you need to check. What is now depend? Do you trust? Do you fully trust? Are you really ready to lay your life down for a vision, probably that you can't clearly see, but a person can? Or do you understand what that looks like? And if you are able to deal with that, you have dealt with your pride. And if you have dealt with your pride, then your blessing cannot be stopped. You can clap. If a person in that situation, Ben, can I have you up? If a person in that situation can turn his heart to understand his ways and to humble. Now think about all the verses. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves, I will heal their land. Humble. Humble, nothing else. The problem from the beginning of the story was that if I can separate them, if I can turn them into a lone wolf, then I can devour. And that's why you understand why this is important. You might not all be friends, but this was given to you. You might not always hang out every night or every weekend, but this was given to you. This matters. The body matters. Are you okay? I'm just asking you today, if you will understand His ways, humble yourself, and then I guarantee you, your words will also be heard. That looks like favor. That looks like favor. That looks like favor. And that favor is what I want. I want that favor. We're going to partake of the communion today. Discern His body. Shall we just stand up and pray and can you wait for a minute, please? Beautiful beyond. You are beautiful. You are beautiful beyond description. This is the chord, right? You are beautiful beyond description, too marvelous for words, too wonderful for comprehension, like nothing ever seen or heard. Who can grasp your infinite wisdom? Who can fathom the depths of your love? You are beautiful beyond description, majesty enthroned. You are beautiful, church, sing. You are beautiful beyond description, too marvelous for words, too wonderful for comprehension, like nothing ever seen or heard. Who can grasp your infinite wisdom? Who can fathom the depths of your love? You are beautiful beyond description, majesty enthroned. Somebody lift your voice, and I stand in awe of you. I stand in awe of you. Holy God, to whom all praise. And I stand in awe of you, Jesus. I stand in awe of you. I stand in awe of you. Father, as we partake of your blood and your body this morning, I speak today that life and life in abundance will start flowing into us, because you are the bread of life. I bless this communion table. This is the blood that He gave up for you. And this is the body that was broken for you. When you partake of it today, there will be life. There will be life in Jesus' name. Come, let's partake of the communion.